You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak to Bill number 32 of 2016, a bill that really, as the Honorable Minister just indicated, speaks to what I would call huge increases in fees on businesses that sell alcoholic beverages. The Honorable Minister just indicated that in economic language, the sin tax is a tax that you hardly get any outcry on. But I will, sir, say to this House, this bill and the increase in the penalties is not an increase on a tax on alcohol. This is an increase on the businesses. This is an anti-business approach. Mr. Speaker, no amount of vilification by any comments from anyone in this House will prevent me from making my point. I don't stand here as a supporter of the use of alcohol, but I'm dealing with a principle. And when we come to this House to legislate, what is before us is not our opinions and moral values alone. Not alone, but what is also there is also the principles that are involved. Mr. Speaker, this year, the minister will be garnering $3.947 billion as revenue from the sale of alcohol. $3.947 billion. If he wanted really to get more revenue, what he should have done is to tax the alcohol more. Because that is the problem, and in my presentation you will see why I'm going there. But these 20 increases, of which the nation is not aware of, except they have a copy of the minister's book, because I don't even think some of the members of the media was able to get it. The penalty for selling malt, liquor, or wine without a license, 100% increase, from 3,000 to 6,000, and 15,000 to 30,000. Penalties for selling spirituous liquor without a license, 5,000 to 10,000, and 50,000 to 100,000. Penalties on holders, Mr. Speaker, I will ask for your protection, because if members continue to use those language, I will be forced to respond. I will be forced to respond to them, sir. I'm seeking your protection. Because I will not allow any form of disrespect to myself or ecclesiastical office while I practice in this House, sir.
Honourable Member, it is enough if you bring it to the Speaker's attention. But if you are going to sound as if you are issuing threats, I do not believe it's appropriate to address the Speaker in that way.
Because it is happening in full view of the House and there is no intervention. That's why I'm bringing it to your attention,
It's not appropriate for you to address the Speaker by words which suggest threats.
Sir, I'm asking for your protection on this matter.
That you are entitled to and will have.
Thank you.
but you will not issue threats when you speak to the speaker.
Sir, I didn't issue a threat. I'm saying I'll be forced to respond because it cannot continue in this house in this manner, sir. I'm emphasizing that.
I'll remember you are speaking.
Yes, sir.
You have the floor.
Thank you. Sir, the issue here in these measures, the bottom line is whether it's a liquor restaurant, a members club, and I'm not a part of the users fraternity, whether it's an ordinary shop, the fact that they have to pay more for licenses, it will not only be passing on to the users of alcohol, but all the people who use the shop. Because what will happen, sir, if a shop that is at the corner of Milton Street sells spirituous liquors and they have to pay more for their license to sell alcohol, that shop also sells other aerated drinks. They sell malt, they sell sweets, they sell confectionaries, they sell other things. So the users of alcohol will not be the only people that will be affected by this. If you wanted to increase the sin tax, go for the sin tax, but don't go with an anti-business measure that affects the entire population. And that is the point that we are making, sir. That is the point we are making in all 20 sections. The increases. Mr. Speaker, we have to look at what is taking place here in a particular context. Because every time the minister rises to speak, he emphasizes how many years this tax or this fee was not raised. But the minister must also say to this house that even though we did not raise the tax on licenses for businesses who sell alcohol and deal with alcohol, the economy was still growing. The economy was still booming. People's lives were better. Why is it that we have to keep raising taxes on every single thing that exists? Last year we had a situation where fees and fines on a number of agencies and activities were increased. Now we are coming here and this is directly going to affect businesses. Mr. Speaker, and I've made it clear, but let me just emphasize it. I am not speaking to the righteousness or the rightness of the use of alcohol. We are speaking here about an anti-business approach. And if we wanted to deal with it, if the issue here, sir, was about safeguarding our society, to deal with the issues of underage drinking, which is becoming a big issue in Guyana, if we were dealing with the issue of the effects of the use of alcohol and its impact on our healthcare services, because I think there was a survey that was done. I know some of the young people who participated in it at the Georgetown Hospital, for us to be able to get an idea of the impact of alcohol and the use of alcohol on the healthcare system. How many of the people who come in there are as a result of the abuse or the use of alcohol? There are other initiatives that could have been taken, but this is simply increasing fees and penalties for businesses. So if we were going in that direction, sir, there are a number of suggestions I could have given. So it is clear that from what we are seeing here, the driving force and the thinking was, let's have more money. Let's increase taxes. And I would wish the minister would tell this House what was the study or what were the considerations that were given or used to increase these licenses for businesses. And in the absence of that, we will have to say it is just purely another taxation measure, because it would appear that the philosophy and the modus operandi of this government is tax, 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 increase, 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 not thinking about how it affects the lives and livelihoods of our people. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure we would have been happy to have a very informative debate if a bill had come to us that would have reflected the following considerations. Number one, a bill that speaks to providing leadership, awareness, and commitment to dealing with the impact and the use of alcohol in our society. We would have been prepared, sir, to speak to the impact of the use of alcohol on our healthcare services and our healthcare response. We would have been prepared, sir, to speak to community action and how could the community get involved. We would have been prepared, sir, to speak to a bill that addresses drunk driving policies and the consequences as a result of that. We would have been prepared, sir, to speak to a bill that addresses the availability of alcohol, even to minors. We would have been prepared, sir, to speak to a bill that deal with pricing policies as it relates to alcohol. We would have been prepared, sir, to speak to a bill that deals with greater monitoring as it relates to the use of alcohol and those who have become addicted to alcohol. But in this present form, the only thing that we could say, sir, is that this is just going to simply drive up the cost of business. And this is not only the big businesses where the people go and sit and drink, but wherever the small businesses, where ordinary people who have to have access and benefits from those places would have to pay the cost, because anything that is increased in this country, the cost is passed on to the customer. And that will mean that even those of us in this country who don't drink and who don't buy alcohol, the cost will be passed on to us when we go to those businesses, because they have to hang those licenses and they have to pay more for it. And that's the bottom line. So I am suggesting to the minister that there be some more thinking, there be some more analysis as to the measures that we implement, and it is not just an easy way to raise money, but we must look at how this impacts the wider society. So these 20 increases, sir, must be seen in a light. And I've outlined that. And in that light, it is affecting businesses, and I'm particularly concerned about the impact that this will have on small businesses across the country. So I suggest to the minister as I close, sir, if he wanted to increase revenue as dealing with the sin tax, don't target the businesses, target the users, and that's where the real problem is. That's why we have a difficulty with this, sir. Thank you very much.